welcome back, everyone. Of course, I did say that our first focus this morning will be on Nigerian workers, their hopes and aspirations, especially as far as the leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress is concerned. And we've been joined this morning by the Vice Chairman, NLC, Ondo State, talking about Comrade OLATUNBOSUN AKINYEMI. Good morning. It's nice to have you on the program.
Good morning.
Well, maybe I first congratulate you on the last election, and then we move on from there. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
But I'm not sure that many Nigerians are happy with the NLC, especially when you look at what has been the trajectory of the issues having to do with Nigerians. Nigerians have been battling naira scarcity. They've been battling the exorbitant pump price of petrol, despite assurances and reassurances from government quotas, and passing through that or going through that for months. NLC woke up rather too late, and then saying that when we go on strike, why now? When, according to many commentators, when many bones have been broken, many lives have been lost, and many problems have really been created by avoidable crisis. Why now?
Yeah, once again, let me say good morning to our viewers at home. The fact that we are coming from the, too late, in quote, is not far-fetched, because we know the country where we are in, Nigeria, is a place where every step you take, people read meaning to it. But knowing what is happening in Nigeria, the electionary process, and the period we are in, within December, and now that the decision was taken, it will be too bad for us as Labour Congress to come out to take this decision. Because about the cashless policy, the CBN came up with some decisions that it will help to reduce vote buying, it will help to stop kidnapping and so many other things. They painted it very well for Nigerians to see that these policies will bring all these things. But for us, we think it is better for us to listen to them, to allow them to do this thing, if, in quote, it is something that will bring development in this country. But unfortunately, when it happens, the other side is what we are seeing. A lot of people died, a lot of families were in shambles and things like that. And if NLC has taken a decision concerning what we are doing now, a lot of people will read meanings to it. It's either APC or PDP or Labour or NNPP will take advantage of that and read meanings to it and maybe paint the NLC as people supporting one party, political party.
On which side are you actually?
We are neutral.
That's what I'm saying. Are you on the side of political concentration?
We are on the side
of the people. Because
we are on the side of the people.
This concentration of political coloration wouldn't have come into play.
We are on the side of people. Even the people in Nigeria, when you take some steps, people in Nigeria today, when you take some steps, it depends on what angle you are coming from. What benefits does people get from what you are doing? If they are not getting benefit from it, you are painted black.
But
that is what we've seen.
At that very point, Nigerians were struggling. We didn't care whose opinion mattered at that point. What we wanted was somebody that would save us.
If you agree with me, this policy started in December. And we assumed that if you are withdrawing ₦1 trillion from the circulation, you must pump in another ₦1 trillion. But unfortunately, CBN is withdrawing trillions of naira, and they are just pumping in, we don't know, peanuts to the society. And this snowballs to what we are, that the election came in. And NLC, we looked at it and we discovered that if we are going to take a step concerning this, of what we are doing now, and if you, in quote, you see that policies in Nigeria are very good policies, but implementation are always very bad.
Are you by any means saying that the NLC was incapacitated information-wise, or was disadvantaged and could not even know what is the pros and cons? I mean, what are the pros and cons of that policy? Despite that, these are also the people who run the machinery of government. And are you saying that it will be correct for Nigerians to be comparing NLC leadership with another leadership? People are quick to say that, wow, how we wish it was the time of Adams Oshiomhole. And what exactly is it that the leadership is not doing well now? Is it a case of compromise or what?
If you have been following the trend, this is not the first time that government of Nigeria is redesigning the money. This is not the first time. In my own lifetime, I've seen it maybe thrice, and it is done seamlessly without any problem. But in this case, if you look at the way it is done, NLC itself is not carried along in this process of redesigning of the naira. We all, as Nigerians, came to see that they designed the money. If you remember, there was an argument between the Minister of Finance, the CBN, and the President.
Where was the NLC in this whole thing?
Good. The NLC have to listen and see what is happening.
You were not carried along in some way. The generality of workers who make up, if you agree with me, a large chunk of Nigerians, and you are comfortable until it became a problem?
It has been happening not only on NLC. It has happened MBA. It has happened with the lecturers. ASU. A lot of policies that comes out in Nigeria today, government doesn't deem it fit to look at what is going to be.
NLC is the parent body of all other.
Good. And if NLC is to come in, they have to be carried along, and they have to know that what is the benefits or the dividends of these policies to the people.
Not being carried along, if you agree with me, is a problem in itself. And with the posture NLC has taken, to my mind, it seems the NLC was comfortable not being carried along.
No. NLC was not comfortable. But if you discover that the position of NLC has threatened even the federal government, not only the central bank, and look at what we are doing today. We are told that the old cash has been burnt or has been sent back to the central bank at Abuja. But where did they get these ones from?
Now, let's
those things are still at the central banks in the various states.
Let's look at your election. Yeah. Because many people have assumed that during every NLC election, there is always a government candidate. Okay. And that was why NLC kept quiet, because it had election plans in mind, and knowing that the moment you step out, you will not get all the necessary support and whatever comes with it from the government. Was that why you kept quiet?
No, it wasn't. If you look at the NLC election at the national level, it has been a preparation. We were out there to give a template to how elections should be conducted in this country, even in the larger society. And what was happening was that during the last 1 year of Ayuba Waba, there has been planned that our election must come out seamlessly without the interference of the government or the politicians. And that preparation has been done on ground.
Has that been possible?
And it was possible. And for the first time in the history of Nigeria, the election at the national level came no contest. It was a single lineup, because all the affiliated unions agreed on who they are presenting to represent them at the level of the National Labour Congress at Abuja. And that same thing snowballs to Ondo State, where we did our election precisely on the 7th of March. And it was seamless. It was a preparation that was done within us. Our aim was to showcase to all politicians that elections can be carried out without rancor, without killing of people, without mayhem. And we did that seamlessly. And even a lot of people doesn't know that the election was held, even at Abuja. It was seamless. So that is what we are doing, and that is what we are preparing to prepare ourselves.
Now, Comrade AKINYEMI, let's come back to the issue of defending Nigerians in the face of failed policies, obnoxious programs, and things that will be inimical to the progress of the Nigerian people. Where does the NLC stand? You know, I keep asking you this because exactly. I want to be sure if Nigerians really should feel safe in the hands of NLC, which for many years has always come out to defend their interest. Now the NLC has come under a new umbrella of leadership, as it were, the Joe Ajaero leadership, and in those states and in many other states also, if not all the states, new leaders have emerged. What is the fate of the Nigerian people, including workers, under the umbrella of this new leadership? Do you think Joe Ajaero has the moral compass? Do you think he has the courage and the capacity to really lead NLC, nay, lead the Nigerian workers in the way and manner that will lead to proper welfare for the people?
Yes, if you follow the trend and if you follow who Joe Ajaero is for some years now, you will know that he has the capacity, he's capable of leading workers workers in this country, and by extension, to bring succor to the masses in Nigeria. I want to tell you that Joe Ajaero has been a man in this game for a very long time. He cannot be influenced, whether with money or whatever. But you know, in Nigeria, there are policies, and most of Nigerian policies are good policies. But when you look at the implementation, that is where the problem comes. And with the emergence of Joe Ajaero as the president NLC in Nigeria, I know he will be involved in all these policies that, one way or the other, may affect the masses. And I know he will do the needful. We are having a government where they don't listen. Government in Nigeria don't listen. Government in Nigeria doesn't see the people as the owners of power. Government of Nigerians, few of them that are in power, they just see it. It is for them and for them alone. And democracy, from the definition, we used to know that it is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. But in Nigeria, it is not so. Government will just sit down, they take a policy, they decide on it, and it is
Don't you think
out.
that's because NLC and other bodies don't put them on their toes?
NLC is not a body that determines policies.
But you can fight.
When the policies must have been carried out. If it is anti-people, it is then NLC comes in. It is not in all policies that NLC will be there to sit down and take decisions on the policies.
What's the essence of the existence of NLC if it will not be able to also get involved?
It is for your welfare, for my welfare.
Why will it not also get to pressurize government to be involved in issues that has to do with the welfare of the people?
Not every policies taken by government that NLC will be there.
But the
But
implementation
the policies that affects the masses, it is then the government can come, NLC can come. For instance, two policies now that is happening. This cash redesign and the fuel scarcity. NLC has been carried along, but unfortunately, the side of the government has not been taken care of. You are removing subsidy. There are two things government needs to do. There must be more supply of PMS. And if there is more supply of PMS, it must be distributed. What is happening to our roads? Will NLC come out to say, come and construct Akure Road? NLC can only do one or two things by seeing the road that is in a deplorable stage, and that government should come and fix this road. And NLC has been on that for a very long time. It has been falling on deaf ears of the government. Is it the role of NLC to construct roads? No, the role of NLC is to tell the government that this thing is wrong, and if you do this, these are the advantages that will come to the people.
Well, AKINYEMI, I do not know if you hold a monthly congress or monthly assembly nationally, where you meet the national leadership. But if that is the case, I put it to you that there's more to be done by the national leadership, especially when it comes to issues having to do with the welfare of the people. I begin to wonder why NLC will sit on an armchair and then just relax and wait till the dying minute. I keep repeating.
It's not the dying minute.
When bills are broken. Now,
It's
talking
not.
about subsidy removal. Yeah. Now, NLC is also just waking up to not talk about the deadline for the
NLC is not waking up. If you remember, Ayuba Waba, the former president of NLC, spoke a lot concerning subsidy, the removal and the effect that we have on the general masses. He spoke a lot, but all these things are documented and they are agreed upon. But on this, at that point of implementation, the government will renege,
Now,
and they will fail in doing
still
that.
on the issue of the subsidy, there is, I want to take it as a rumor now that the fuel price, when the subsidy is removed, the fuel price we should be expecting from 700 to 800 naira. Now, NLC, because we are waiting for you, how do you want the common man to be able to buy a liter of fuel for 800 naira? What should we expect from you?
I don't think after removal of subsidy that fuel will go as high as 700. I don't think so. But I am looking, this is now my personal view. I'm looking at it at the range of 300, 350. And if the Dangote refinery in Lagos, as we had, that will start production in the maybe second quarter or third quarter of this year, if it's anything to go by, I don't think fuel will rise as high as to 700.
AKINYEMI, you've gone on your personal view, and so I will also question you on your personal view. To ask you why you think Nigeria should wait on the private investment, and you think that will also augur well for the economy. That is a businessman, if you agree with me, who will be profit-oriented. And so I do not know why you are hinging your hope on a private private investment.
About 1 or 2 months ago, the Minister of State for Petroleum told us that the refinery at Port Harcourt, that it will start production at the top quarter of the year. And that of Kaduna, that a lot of things is being done on it, that it will equally go into production. These are what I'm basing my argument on.
Okay. Not just on the private refinery.
Not on the private. And the private can supplement whatever comes out from the government. But the truth of the matter is this. What have been spent on the renovation of those refineries in Nigeria, if we put that amount to a new refinery in Venezuela is half of Nigeria, half of the population of Nigeria. I read and I Googled it. They have about 19 refineries in Venezuela. But in Nigeria today, the population of about 250 million people, just 4 refineries, and none is functioning. None of them is functioning. And by my own...
Yet going through maintenance, yet going through...
these are Nigerian factors, going through maintenance.
And NLC...
If I have my way, and if
dealing
NLC...
with that matter?
Yes, NLC has been dealing with that matter. Like I still see...
How well?
Like I still see. NLC has been giving their own advice. They have been agitating that rather than going for renew overhauling of these refineries, they are old enough. A refinery of 1957, 1960, in this present 21st century, refineries are not built the way they were built then, now. So NLC has been saying these things, but the Nigerian government still complains that that is what they will do, and that is what they are doing, and yet we are not seeing it. But I know the present leaders of NLC at the national level will take it up with the government, and I know there will be succor for the masses very, very soon.
Now I'm more concerned on the what ifs, because the Nigerian factor, like you rightly mentioned, deals a lot with what if. Now, what if all these refineries you mentioned don't come to life? Now we still have to now keep looking at the whatever, because you assumed. But if you saw the interview of the leaders of the oil industry in Nigeria, they still talked about we should expect 700. Now, what if those things do not work? Because I'm looking at what NLC is going to do.
What we are going to do is part of the things we are doing now. We will take up the government. NLC cannot ground the government, but we will take up the government by telling them to do the right thing. And the right thing is that the masses, the population of Nigerians should come first. Because we are looking at it that the masses are not being taken care of in Nigeria. And the policies that are carried out in Nigeria are policies that are detrimental to the people. And we will take it up with them and make sure they do the needful.
AKINYEMI, why is it that the NLC did not think of putting it to government to look at minimum wage increments in the face of, for instance, fuel was being sold for 87 naira at a point. It rose, and then now you find it as 192. That's the cheapest you now get. And in many other places you find as high as 240, 260. Yet with the same salary.
Yes.
And NLC has not issued a single press statement or a letter, whether open letter or closed letter or whatever form of letter, to government on this matter. Isn't that also aiding and abetting corruption at every level?
No. It is not corruption on the part of NLC. There is a law that in every 5 years, there will be a review of the salary of workers. And if you look at that law and the percentage of review, taking care of that on one side and looking at the present economic situation in Nigeria, even that law has to be amended. Something has to be done. 30,000 minimum wage is what we have today in Nigeria. And if you look at 30,000 in Nigeria today, it is nothing. So even as at that, if there will be a review of salaries for the least paid worker, which is level 1, step 1, should rise up to 60,000 naira. $1 today, $1 is 74,000. 74,000. No worker gets 74,000.
$1 is
740. 740. So if you multiply that by the $100 at the black market, if you multiply that by 100, you are talking about 74,000 naira. But if you look at what the salary is today and the law that brings those salary, they are even already obsolete. They are obsolete. But what the NLC is looking at is that this law, if we cannot meet exactly what the situation is today, but we should be able to get close to it. And that, with the federal government today, some 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago, they mentioned that there will be an increase in salary. And NLC is prepared to go to that negotiation table, considering all the parameters that are on ground now, to really face that with the government and tell them that so amount should be the lowest salary for the least paid worker. And I know justice will be done with that, with the leadership of Joe Ajero. In our state here, we are lucky.
When we come to Ondo State, I know you're much more interested in that, but let's pay attention to the larger picture still. Now, talking about what will be the fate of Nigerians, especially with policy implementation and the failure of same, is NLC being proactive to also take a look at what should be the deal, whether better deal or not, that we have in another administration that Nigerians look forward to on May 29.
Good. You know, in the labor movement, we have the 3 C's, which is consultation, consolidation, and confrontation. But if you look at the confrontation is not there, and that's why you are.
I hope it's not dead yet.
It's not dead.
Are you sure?
But the confrontation, we are scientific in our approach. That in Nigeria today, we should be more of the consultation and consolidation. We should consult and consolidate. And when you are consulting,
could that be why many Nigerians think that during the consultation and consolidation, there's also compromise?
No, there's no compromise. With the leadership of NLC today in Nigeria, I know they cannot be compromised. Well, I know they have a challenge. For instance, in Ondo State, do you think now that we are new in Ondo State, we should compromise with what level Comrade Sunday Adeleye has taken NLC to in Ondo State?
What level do you take NLC to?
He has taken it to a greater height. The government promised that they will pay the salaries. The government promised that they will pay salaries of 2022. At the end of December, they will pay. And believe me, by 24th of December, the government of Ondo State has cleared the salary of civil servant. And even it was the labor movement that is saying, okay, don't pay that of December. Let it be sometimes in January, so that we will not come back home and start crying. Because we always believe that January is ×2, 60 days instead of that. So back to your question. With the kind of people, the leadership that we have at the NLC at the national level, the likes of Sunday Adeleye, Comrade Sunday Adeleye is the vice president of NLC at the national level. And with those experiences, and that of Joe Ajero, and so many of them that are there, we are sure, want to tell the masses that, let us be calm. These people are going to do the needful, and there will be a change in the living condition of Nigerians. The poor, the lowest and Nigerian worker should just go home and rest. I know with this crop of people there, that there will be a change.
Now, I also understand that with the kind of condition that is prevalent in Nigeria now, many state governments are also looking at ways of alleviating the sufferings of the people. I give you an instance. Lagos state government came and said, look, I'm increasing salary by 20% across board.
Yes.
And you might want to say, yes, the economy of Lagos state is better than Ondo state. But that does not preclude or foreclose the fact that there could also be something done to alleviate the sufferings of the people. Because many take-homes are not even taking anybody home.
Also reduce the fares, transport fares.
3 things I want to say about that. 1, you've mentioned it. Lagos State earns between 50 to 51 billion as IGR. 50 to 51 billion
what does Ondo State then as IGR?
Wait, I will tell you. The second thing is that the mindset of the governor of Lagos State leadership, that also take care of some of these things that is happening. Then the third one is coming out to thank the people, to thank the worker, that you've done this for me by voting me. I should appreciate you. And that's what, if you look at 20% increment to the salary and to his IGR, 10% of 51 billion, what is it? It's just 5 billion. So you are just taking 10 billion out of the 51 billion he gathers monthly to take care of the workers. Now back to Ondo State. In law, they say you compare 2 judgments that are similar. For that happening in Lagos State, does not say automatically it must happen in Ondo State. Because where are we coming from? What is our source of money? Internet generation.
Just a moment. I have not said that it must also happen in Ondo State with the 20%.
Exactly.
I have just given that to you as an instance.
Yes.
Asking you what you think should be the right thing to be done to alleviate the suffering of the people in this precarious situation?
We are doing everything possible, and the government is doing everything without us asking. Yesterday I was somewhere. The government was able to tell us that this is what comes into Ondo State. Unprecedented. I've never seen it. This is what comes to Ondo State for the month of March. And this is how we want to spend it. We looked at it. We agreed together. And where we have problems in the tertiary institutions, we stated all these things. And these things were taken care of based on what the government has imposed. And that is unprecedented, and I love that. I like it as a person, that the government is a government that sees the challenges of the people, and they are trying to do one or two things to do that. So I want to encourage us that we should support this government, and I know better things will come.
How well is NLC also pushing for these better things? Because if you agree with me, no government wants to spend so much.
Exactly.
No matter how well you paint, yes, they called you to meeting, they told you this how much comes in, yes. Of course. And then you expect every government that wants to be seen as a democratic one to want to do that. Exactly. But what better deal does NLC have for the people? You are yet to answer that question. As regards what you think should be the distribution of government to the increase in living standard. Now, people who were spending just 50 naira on transportation now have to spend 100 naira. That's double expenses. What do you think should be the palliative that government should also look into in alleviating the sufferings of the people? That's my question.
A lot of challenges for the government of Nigeria, and that has been putting a lot of pressure on NLC. For instance, the dollar rate is affecting a lot of these things that will have been succor to the masses. We all drive cars. We all see what cars it. My car, the Kickstarter of my car, before now, I buy for 6,000 naira. But just 2 weeks ago, I had a problem with my Kickstarter. I bought it for 22,000 naira. And from my investigation with the traders, they told me that all these things are being imported to Nigeria. And it is the dollar rate is affecting it. So my own advice as a labor leader, and I know that I will throw to my executive, my leadership, so that we'll take that to government, is that government should do something to subsidize these things. Parts to the taxi drivers, to the Okada, to the Keke Napep people. There should be subsidy on how they buy these parts, so that will also snowball to charging less amount to the people. Secondly, the fuel, petroleum products should be looked into by government. And that is our own position to tell government that if petroleum products are sold as high as 700 naira, from here, from Orita Obele here, maybe to the junction there, we'll be talking about 200 naira. And is it every Nigerian, is it every Ondo State indigene that can afford 200 naira from here to that place? So it is our own position is that maybe there will be interstate or within the state transport where the government will buy these buses and subsidize the amount paid for fare.
Which buses are you talking about? The buses
in Lagos. In Lagos, you have the BRT.
Of course, you're talking about
the BRT. If you
cost of running those things, because let's not hide from the truth.
Yes.
The buses for schools, that's the free shuttle buses,
yes, they
are not running anymore. You are aware as a labor leader. Now you're talking about buying buses for intra-city transportation. Do you think government will agree with you on that?
Yes.
When it's still battling with
depending on how we put
buses?
Depending on how we put our scorecards. For instance, you've asked me a question that what do you think that NLC can do to ameliorate the suffering of Nigerians? And that is one of them. And that, you see, this shuttle bus not working today depends on you and I, the government and all of us that are in charge, that are supposed to carry out our duty. In Nigerians today, everybody thinks of himself. Nobody thinks of the other persons. Government, the people, and myself. I think about myself first, before any other thing. I grew up in the north. I schooled in Edo State. These things, when I was schooling, it was during the time of Awolowo. All my textbooks, about 34 of them, including an Oxford dictionary, was given to me free. In the first year of that, Ambrose Ali, whatever. But today, what happens? Nobody thinks about those things. My alma mater, if you go there now, the roofs are shattered. The place is nothing to write home about. But during my days, I never went to the nursery and primary school private. I attended public schools. We have inspectors that come, they'll sit at the back of the class and watch the teacher teaching. After that, they'll come on board and ask questions. What are those things? Where are they today? Nobody cares. Nobody cares of those things. In my own university, I attended University of Ife. Go there today. What is happening there today compared to when we were there? I paid 19 naira for my accommodation.